Georgia and Florida play this upcoming Saturday in one of the best rivalries in all of college football. It's a 3:30 Eastern kick. Georgia's favored by 22.5 points. Now, I said Georgia, Florida, not Florida, Georgia, because Georgia, as of right now, is the top dog. No pun intended. They're the top dog. They are the big boys, and they feel like it. Because a lot of us have watched Georgia the last few weeks, and we have a couple of, I don't want to say blemishes, but points where we've watched them and just kind of said, that's the defending national champion? Okay. Shouldn't they, look a little bit more impressive against Kent State? Shouldn't they look a little bit more impressive against Missouri? I mean, I think you're reaching, to be honest with you. I understand where that's coming from, but I think that's a small reach. I'll tell you this, internally, they hear all that talk, there's no flinch. I mean, they are not worried in the slightest about what anybody with a microphone has to say about the Dogs. Nonetheless, they know who they are. The identity is very strong. The confidence is there. Kirby Smart has got this program ready to play. And I'll also say this is a logo this week that has all of their attention. Like if you wanted to say maybe experience on the defensive side was still getting there and Missouri didn't have their attention, Kent State definitely is a program you would understand if they don't have their attention. No knock on the flashes. Florida has their attention. All right, so you're going to get the very best version of Georgia this coming week. Stetson Bennett also said something interesting in his press conference this week. Just said, basically, in this game, you throw out the records. And this is one of those specials, and we've had a couple of them we've broken down on this program. One of those specials where you get to pack light to the game, right? We always say it. You don't need logic and stay at home. Common sense, leave it. Reason, never heard of her. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of game that this could end up being. For Florida, we said it at the beginning of this show, if they win this game, how differently are you talking about Florida going forward? How differently are you talking about Billy Napier, about AR? There's so many conversations that I think are trending down right now that will flip immediately if they win a game like this. Now, again, Billy Napier, only in year one. Dude is one of the best recruiters in the game, in my opinion. They're going to be fine, but a win like this would be a torch to carry forward for that program. The hinges for us in this game. Can Georgia's offense keep the Florida defense guessing a little bit? Can they play Riddler? Because whenever Georgia has struggled, especially against Missouri, what we saw happen was some obvious passing situations where Missouri was quite frankly just able to get after the quarterback and broke down some of those protections. Florida, for all their faults, has some dudes on the edges. Okay, I know the defense has statistically had some things that are lacking, but they have some Sunday players on the outside that will get after you, quick, fast, in a hurry. And so I think the way to remedy that is potentially throwing the ball on first down. We think about Georgia, we think tough, we think gritty, we think, pounding the rock, carrying the ball all the time, every time. That's not the case. That's not the way that this Georgia team has played this year. They have been winging it. Stetson Bennett's been averaging right around 30 attempts a game. And so I think being able to throw the ball on first down, one, the defense is much more mellow. They're not going to be a program that can necessarily just pin their ears back and go on first down. Now you get to 3rd and 10, it's a different conversation. But being able to get positive yards on first down, throwing the ball, that's going to be a much more clean pocket, and then you can be more multiple. Then you can have more prongs to what you want to do offensively. For Florida, if they can get after the quarterback, if they can force some obvious passing downs like we talked about, they don't have to guess, well, then they can disrupt this whole Georgia passing attack. Then they can sort of dictate the way they want things to go for their drives. And that's maybe asking a lot, but with what they have been statistically inept at on 3rd down, one of the worst in the country in terms of conversion percentage, they're going to need to find a way to force some longer 3rd and, the sticks. Like they need 3rd and 15. They need 3rd and 17. A sack would do a lot for them in being able to get that done. All right. So 2nd down, 1st down, going to be crucial to the game flow here. Second question we have for this game. You can't talk about Florida without mentioning Anthony Richardson. But here's the big question, and we ask it every week, especially in big games. Which version of AR shows up? Because if you get Utah, Anthony Richardson, this thing could get interesting. Just remember the way he introduced himself to the entire country on that night. Took the game by the horns and said, nope, I think tonight's my night. I got the S on my chest. Superman wears AR pajamas. I'm him tonight. If you get that kind of AR, like we talked about, things in the fourth quarter could be close. You're fighting for your life, especially if Georgia starts slow like they have previously. Now, flip that on its head. If you get bad AR, which we saw against Missouri, I don't want to say we saw it against LSU, but there were times where he had less than desirable performances in that game, less than desirable plays, rather, then this thing gets out of hand. Because for as slow as Georgia starts, you can't spot them 14 points. You just can't. They're too talented. They're too well coached. They have too many weapons, and this thing gets ugly. So if you get bad AR, there's no shot, right? There's no shot. Now, I think one way that you could try to help yourself staying in this game, being able to run the football for Florida has been a sticking point for that team. I mean, they got two backs, Trevor Etienne, Montrell Johnson, both right around 6 and 7 yards a carry. That's good for some of the best in the country. We know Florida's depth isn't phenomenal, especially on the defensive side, rather. I mean, the defensive depth, they need a chance to get their wind. For all the weapons Georgia has, I think you want them to watch this game. I think you say, hey, Stetson Bennett, get a Gatorade. Brock Bowers, get a towel. Y'all chill out on the bench. We're going to have a 10-play drive right now. Okay? So you guys can just hang out. Also, a 12-play drive the next time. 5 minutes off the clock, 7 minutes off the clock. Stuff like that where you can just basically make this Georgia team watch, shorten the game, lower scoring. That would favor Florida. That's way easier said than done, but I'm telling you, if there's a path for Florida to do it, you got to look really closely at that whole operation for them. So here's the whole thing that I'm looking at as the potential backbreaker in this game. This Georgia offense is legit. It is. They're scoring over 40 points a game, and they have so much firepower. And it feels like they are better than they were a year ago, more experienced, have more guys that have come into their own. Stetson Bennett looks like he's taken a step forward, which is encouraging to see for Georgia fans. And what that does is that just limits the margin for error so much for this Florida team. And they are very much an unfinished product as a program under Billy Napier, but this year they haven't been the cleanest operation in the world. They haven't been turnover-free, to say the least. And so if you want to play even just a little bit sloppy, even just a few percentage points down from perfect, that's going to hurt you because they have Brock Bowers, because they have an efficient Stetson Bennett, because they have some new guys on defense that, quite frankly, are playing really well. I think this is a game where they have the undivided attention of Georgia, and I think Georgia handles business in Jacksonville. Final score for us is 41-24, Dogs roll. Excited to watch this game, but that's how we see this whole thing breaking down in the Georgia-Florida matchup. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.